I'm Nate Hammoud. I'm one of the founders, owners, president, and director of coffee for Desert Oasis Coffee Roasters. So right now the coffee is in the first stage of roast that we call the drying phase. The drying phase is where the coffee is losing a lot of its moisture. It's also losing its chlorophyll, and that's why it's actually starting to lose that green color that raw coffee has. You hear a lot of talk about light, medium, and dark roast. We talk a lot less about the shade of final roast and more about how it got there. We always say that roasting is sort of like a hybrid between an art and a science. So this is what we call the trier. It's not a particularly fancy name for it, but that is the official name. And what that's doing is really just giving us a sample of the coffee to be able to actually see what it's looking like during the roasting process. This whole time it was endothermic. It was absorbing heat energy, and now it's actually going to be starting to release some of that heat energy. It's going to become exothermic, and that's where you start to hear an audible popping sound. Yeah, you're hearing it now. So it almost sounds like popcorn popping or something. So that means we're very close to the end of the roast, actually, because like I said, we do very light roasts. 3, 2, and 1. My first batch on this, I was only, even when I started roasting on this, I think I was only 16. I had saved up my money to buy this thing, and I remember my dad even saying when I was first talking about getting the roaster, he was like, you know what, if the kid cares this much to do it, let's help him out, let's make this happen. It was exciting. I mean, it was really a lot of figuring out. My first batch of coffee was really pretty terrible, and it was just a matter of kind of doing it and kind of researching. Back then I had a lot of time to experiment. We really didn't have a lot of customers. It was, I'd come home from school and just work on that. That's all I cared about. I was doing it just out of enjoyment of coffee, but also really kind of in pursuit of kind of trying to figure out how to do this. Maybe within the first 6 months or so, I was probably making better coffee than like the gas station coffee we were buying previously, I take all of our coffees really seriously as far as the amount of work I put into them. But there are some coffees that I just very vividly remember as being incredibly dynamic coffees that I can still kind of just remember to this day exactly what they tasted like. I think you can kind of really vividly remember experiences that you've had around a coffee or something, and I think that's something that's really kind of magical about it. Yeah. Right now, just tasting our Rwanda Ejo Heza. This is a really great lot that we've been fortunate enough to work with this farming operation a few years in a row now. And we've been really pleased with what we've been seeing in the farming initiatives. The Ejo Heza Cooperative is a women's owned operation within the larger Copacabana Cooperative. The coffee itself is really awesome, and every year it's been really cool to see how the coffee is developed and improved even. Yeah, it's really nice. A little bit grapey. In this coffee, you'll get a lot of sort of stone fruits like nectarine and sort of peach-like tasting notes. I get a lot of like cherry as well. I always actually say that it kind of reminds me of one of those little like Dole fruit cocktail containers because it's really sweet, sort of syrupy, developed, sort of really juicy in terms of its mouthfeel and general feel of the cup. Tasting notes talk about the acidity of a coffee. All of those types of things are something that were words that were used to describe wine and just sort of translated right over to coffee. You can really kind of sit and talk about a coffee for a long time, right? Be like, yeah, I'm getting kind of like this lighter body, or I'm getting like jasmine florals in this coffee, or we try to just kind of narrow it down so that it's just like, all right, what are like the 3 top things you're gonna taste, right? When I go to bed at night, as cheesy as it sounds, I really do sort of just look forward to that first like coffee in the morning. And I think that's sort of a, there's sort of that ritualistic aspect of coffee. Its ability to have sort of a greater impact in your day while being such a simple, morning routine piece. People can really connect over it, and
share in it and really enjoy it. The focus when we first opened wasn't even coffee, right? The focus when we started was, baked goods and live music. And I think coffee, as I started getting even more into coffee and sort of evolving our business model, it seemed that coffee was sort of even maybe a better means to that same end of creating that community and that gathering place for people.